Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, one of the best ways to improve your chess is by studying master level games. So a series on this channel that I'm creating, starting with this video, is going through master level games. And for this first video, we don't have any ordinary person. We have the one, the only. Some say he's one of the best in the world. Some say he is the greatest of all time. It is Magnus Carlsen. Yes, the reigning world champion of 20 years. Yes, he recently retired, but he is still the #1 player in the world. This game that we're looking through is when he was just a 13-year-old boy versing a strong Dutch master and also a strong coach. So when he beat this guy, everyone was like, oh my god, this guy Magnus, he's next up. And they were right. Well, this game is also dubbed his immortal game because of the sacrifices in this game. And just stay tuned because this game is honestly amazing. Let's go through it. So he starts the game with e4. Magnus is like, okay, I'm going to take the center, as you should. Now his opponent replies c6. He plays the Caro-Kann, Magnus d4, d5. Now in this position you have many moves. You could play e5, the advanced. You could also consider taking, playing the exchange. You could also play knight d2, knight c3. And in this game he did play knight c3. Also you could play the fantasy with f3, which is quite a cool sideline. But yeah, he plays knight c3. So his opponent plays takes, and this is the main move. He takes back, and this is all standard stuff. Main moves here are knight f6 or bishop f5. His opponent plays bishop to f5. Magnus drops the knight back, attacking the bishop. The bishop normally drops back, and h4. Now this move, h4, might be a surprise to some of you that are new to the game, but here, h4 is quite a common move, chasing away this bishop, and the point is, if they do nothing else, we're just going to simply trap this bishop in. So his opponent, of course, plays h6, that's the main move, and this is all standard theory. Knight comes out, develop your pieces. Magnus is doing everything by the book. Now, what happens in this position? Knight d7, this is the main move. You could play knight f6, it's not as good here because knight e5 comes, attacking this bishop. Bishop drops back, and then bishop d3. And your knight is essentially a little more active than it should be. And playing knight d7 first is just the theoretical move, also just prevents any ideas of knight e5 straight away because you would just take it. So this is all good. This is all theory. h5, bishop drops back, bishop d3, trade, and everything here so far so good. Here white has two main moves, playing bishop d2 or bishop f4. Here Magnus chooses bishop f4. And here his opponent played the move knight to f6. Now this is a move. It's not the most common move. The most common move is actually queen a5 check here, and this kind of does equalize on the spot. Queen a5 check, if they drop the bishop back, you can drop this bishop here, and essentially if you trade, drop the knight back, this is quite an equal position. You get the knight here, and there's no tricks your opponent has. Now what happens in the game is, he didn't play a wrong move. He played knight f6, but it retains the advantage for the white pieces. Now here Magnus plays the good move of long castling. Both castling is fine, but here long castling is really nice. You have the h-file for this rook, it's defending the pawn. This king is pretty safe, your rooks are on great squares, and his opponent's going to have a tough time defending. It is still a theoretical position, but I already slightly prefer this for white. Bishop e7, and knight comes to e4. This is another interesting choice. King b1 is another move he could have played here, but knight e4 is quite good. The point is, he wants to take, and once the knight recaptures, he can plop the knight in on e5, where it stands really well on e5. His opponent plays queen a5. This is totally fine, but it's already starting to go wrong. King b1 is a safe move. Remember, always when your opponent plays like an attacking move on the side, you've castled queenside, bring your king to b1. It's kind of like a safety move. You're like, I don't have anything to lose by this move. Puts my king on a safe square, protects the pawn. It's a good move. You should play it. King b1. Now he castles, and Magnus goes for the plan. Takes the knight, he takes back, and he puts his knight on the e5 square. Now, what happens here? He plays rook d8, still theoretical, still everything is theory. Now, after queen e2, his opponent goes wrong. So queen e2 is actually not the best move here Magnus could have played. It's still a good move. It gets the rook out of this pin. The point of queen e2 as well, it sets up a little trick, which his opponent didn't see. His opponent plays c5, and already a mistake, and Magnus plays every move perfectly from here on. After c5, the game is over. It's +1, but it gets worse and worse as this is just an insane attack his opponent's about to hit him with. His opponent had to play the move queen b6, and I'll show you why in a little bit. c5 is a mistake because here Magnus has the epic move. Pause the video, try and spot the move that Magnus would play. Don't retreat. Now if you play some random move, let's say you play like g3, they're threatening to take this pawn and threatening to crush your position. So you have to do something very quick. See if you can find some tactic in this position. It's very hard to calculate, but have a go, pause the video and try your best. Magnus plays the move knight to g6, double exclam. This is a brilliant move. Why is it a brilliant move? Now, if they take this, we'll see what happens in the game. But let's say they defend this bishop. Now Magnus would have taken, and played dc5, where this pawn is hanging. Now if you trade the rooks here, first of all, if you take, I will take the rook for free. So if you trade the rook, and then I take back with the rook, you take here. Well, now I can just play bishop d6 and attack both of these, and I'm just winning the game through just a tactic. So his opponent would actually just simply lose a pawn. But his opponent didn't like that. Well, his opponent just called his bluff. He's like, I can just take the knight. What are you doing, Magnus? This is nothing. You're 13 and I'm going to destroy you. You're just a 13-year-old boy. You can't do anything to me. But Magnus says, thanks for the pawn, and I'm going to checkmate you. Now, why should have he played the move queen b6? Well, if he played queen b6 and the same line happened, he had bishop a3 here going for his own counter checkmate. And here, let's say you play the move b3. Well, now you can take. Now if queen e6, you come king h8. And now if you take the pawn, there's no tactics that occur in the game. You can play rook d4. And you don't have the same tactics that we will get later to in the game. Because now simply king g7 holds the game. So in this position, he sacks. So here, he takes the pawn. And you might be thinking, wait a second, he's just sacked a piece. Okay, he got a couple pawns for it, but there's nothing here. Well, there is a really, really strong attack. Now he's threatening bishop h6, take, and rook h6. And if you go king h7, there's going to be checkmate to follow. I mean, it's just going to be dangerous. Let's say you play a random move here. Bishop h6, takes, and just rook h6. Here, rook dh1 even is winning. You just bring this other rook in. This is going to be checkmate. You bring this rook over, you hang mate over here, and this game is simply over. So Magnus's opponent has to do something quick. So they think of something, but the thing they think of is not very great. Well, he plays this move, which is to bring the knight back. The point is he defends the bishop, and he also defends the square. But what happens when your opponent defends two things at the same time? There's always an overloading tactic. And here, the same thing applies. Magnus sacrifices the bishop. Now, he's going to take with the pawn. He takes with the pawn. And now he sacks the rook. And now you might be thinking, I can just take it, which is what happens in the game, which we'll get to. But what if he moved his king? Well, now rook h7 is simply checkmate. So he does take it, and he has to take it. Now Magnus simply takes the bishop. Now it looks like, wait a second, he has a rook and a knight extra. But what you have to also consider in chess is the safety of this king, and this king is super weak. First of all, this is mate, and second of all, this rook is coming in via d3 and h3, or just h1 and going to checkmate you. So after knight f7, his opponent sacks back the piece because they have nothing else. They have to prevent the mate, so he sacks it back. He simply takes it. This game is over. His opponent can't do anything at all. So in this position, he played the move king to g7. Point is he's getting out of the check preemptively, but Magnus never had the intention of going to the h1 square. In fact, he was always coming to d3. The point is, now the rook is sliding over to g3, and there's absolutely nothing you can do. Note that this back rank mate is guarded by this queen. So this is game over. He plays rook d6 in a desperate attempt, but here Magnus finds the right sequence. Here he can play the check. Now, if his opponent moves this king anywhere, like king h7, this would simply be mate after queen e4. The king goes somewhere, and this is simply checkmate. You would just take the rook. And this is mate. So he has to block it. And block it he does. But he doesn't block the checkmate in the end. Because now Magnus plays the move queen e5 check. King takes the pawn. Another check. Forcing this rook to block. Because if the rook doesn't block, well, now if you move the king, I will just take this. And then I will give you checkmate. But his opponent, very fittingly, actually, he knows it's over. He could have resigned at this point. But he's like, this is a young kid. He's 13. I want to give him his glory. He blocks with the rook, and this is truly a beautiful checkmate. Magnus plays the move queen d7. Checkmate. Look at this. This is picturesque. this king is trapped in by its own rooks, the queen attacks the king, and the rook covers the g-file, and he wins the game. So be sure to subscribe to the channel if you want more master game analysis like this, and I will see you guys all next time.